Shayna Melissa takes us on this ride from suffering to a life so free. Her healing touch she'll set you free with a heart so pure and full of love. She's the nurse that fits you like a glove. Holistic healing. Her ex finding the strength deep inside. Shayna Melissa takes us on this ride from suffering to a life so free. Her healing touch she'll set you free with a heart.
Hey, hey, hey! Are you waking up exhausted, walking in a room, forgetting what you were going to do? What were you just going to say? Leaving yourself stickies everywhere or in pain? You kind of ignore those symptoms. You chalk it up to just getting older. Maybe you go to the doctor and they say your tests are normal. These are often early warning signs that should not be ignored. They're often early warning signs of a much deeper problem that if you choose to ignore them, you can end up hospitalized or worse. We just wrapped up National Autoimmune Awareness Month and National MS Awareness Month. I am Shayna Melissa Stockman, a fellow autoimmune warrior myself, a nationally board certified nurse practitioner and registered nurse for well over 30 years, who loves to empower my fellow autoimmune warriors and those suffering from medical mysteries to get and feel better while reducing your signs, symptoms, autoimmune flare ups, and reliance on meds. So, this topic is very dear and near to my heart for specific reasons. I am one of you. I was suffering for years with symptoms that were blown off by the doctors and told my tests were normal. Now, a big part of we are seeing a huge uproar in the amount of autoimmune illnesses and medical mysteries. But before we dive in, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. This is live. And please drop us some hearts, comments, click that share button if you know someone suffering from these symptoms, MS or autoimmune, because they're probably going to want to hear what we have to say today. Now, medical mysteries have been drastically on the uprise, especially since the pandemic. And I always like to get to the heart, the root cause of the problem, because only then can we really fix it. Now, a lot of the newer medical treatments are relying on RNA and DNA from humans, embryos, and other animals, like even monkeys, chickens, cows, and pigs. And I believe that's a big part of why autoimmune disorders, aka medical mysteries, are on the rise. Think about it like this. You ever hear of someone that got an organ transplant, right? Like a new kidney or a new heart? They are put on like 20 anti rejection meds. So their body doesn't fight the foreign genes, the foreign RNA, and the foreign DNA, right? But how come when we're given a treatment from a different human or a different animal that's not an organ, we're not given anti rejection medications? And that's a big part of why autoimmune disorders are on the rise. A lot of these medical mysteries are underlying autoimmune disorders. Now, think about it like this. There are these monoclonal antibodies, right? And they are now used to treat cancer. And there's certain names of them, Rituxan and Herceptin and whatnot. Those new cancer treatments that work on monoclonal antibodies are produced often in Chinese hamster ovaries, right? So now that cancer warrior might be feeling better from their cancer, but now you just put in their body DNA, RNA, and genes from hamsters. And that, I believe, will probably stimulate a medical mystery disorder that later years is diagnosed as autoimmune. Now, let me give you just a few more cases like this. There's a new treatment now. If you're an insulin dependent diabetic, that's autoimmune disorder. They can actually take pancreatic cells from another being and put them into your pancreas where you start making insulin again so you don't have that insulin dependency. Sounds great, right? An diabetic not needing insulin anymore because he was able or she able to get pancreatic cells from another being. But that is also giving them that other beings genes, RNA, DNA, and whatnot. So I believe down the road, this is a new treatment. We don't know the long-term effects. I believe down the road, they are going to create an autoimmune reaction because that body is going to recognize those foreign pancreatic cells as foreign and stimulate an autoimmune disorder. Let me just give you a couple other quick examples. Then we're going to dive into what are all the signs and symptoms of MS, because you might know someone that has these symptoms and they've been misdiagnosed for years. And then I'm also going to dive deep into the signs and symptoms of Hashimoto's hypothyroidism, that you may have it and been to the doctor for years and blown off, told your tests are normal. So let me just give you a couple other examples of newer medical treatments that may stimulate additional autoimmune disorders. There's something called CRISPR technology, and that is actually gene editing. That is the first FDA approved therapy using CRISPR to edit DNA in patients' stem cells to treat sickle cell. And there's so many other treatments that we're using now that are introducing to your body foreign genes, foreign RNA, foreign DNA that may stimulate an autoimmune reaction and cause more additional problems. There are synthetic RNA-based therapies, synthetic genes. Then there's also therapies that are derived from the embryonic tissue and cord bloods as well, cord blood derived. Now, again, this is all giving you foreign genes, foreign RNA, and DNA that your body recognizes as foreign and could go to fight it. And there's also tissue that are engineered, like for people with thymus issues up here. Now, there's also been a lot of these. My nurses know what these are, right? And my medical people. There's been a lot of these now that have mRNA in them. So, nurses, healthcare pros, you know what these are, right? Those that are not healthcare pros, you know what these are. A lot of these have genes, genetic material in them. They have RNA, DNA, and your body can recognize that foreign substance if it came from an embryo, a cord blood, a chicken, or a monkey kidney cell. Your body can recognize this as a foreign substance and go to fight it, causing more autoimmune issues. Now, let me give you a couple examples. Recombinant Hep B protection. The virus DNA is in yeast or animal cells. There are fetal retinal cells or chimpanzee cells that are used to make these to protect you against the pandemic, okay? They are made from fetal retinal cells or chimpanzee cells. Now, again, this is giving you genes that are foreign to you, like RNA and DNA, and causing autoimmune reactions. There are the rotavirus protection, and encephalitis and polio is made from monkey kidney cells. Again, foreign genetic material to you. The chicken embryo is used to make the rabies protection, and so much more. And we're coming out with more and more of these that are made from genetic material from either embryos, monkey, or chicken. Remember back in the day, especially my nurses, we were told, ask the patients if they're allergic to eggs before we gave the flu protection, right? And that's because it was incubated in egg cells. Now, the other protections that are made from human fetal cells, where it could stimulate an autoimmune disorder, are the rubella, varicella, now hepatitis A, and rabies. So rubella, varicella, hep A, and rabies are made from human fetal cells and put into the protection. Now, yes, I want to be clear, there are different brands by different companies that may not have the human component or the monkey component in it. I know the rubella, or say, for instance, the Varivax. The Varivax vaccine for varicella is made from human fetal cells. There may be other versions by other manufacturers that are not made from human cells. So I'm not saying stay away from all of these, but you may be able to find a different manufacturer that's not making it with genetic components in it. Like the Hep A protection called Havrix and Vactac. That is from human fetal cells. So sometimes you can find a different manufacturer that manufactures it differently. So that's enough about this. I just want you to know that we are on a huge uproar since the pandemic started because we're giving a lot more of these, and a lot more of these are having genetic components in it, either from an embryo, a monkey, a chicken, or synthetic versions or man manipulated engineered versions of the real genes. Now, the reason I'm so passionate about this is a few reasons. I had autoimmune disorders myself. The short story of it is I had a lot of the signs and symptoms, and I might be a lot like you. That's why I want to share my story. I was blowing off my signs and symptoms in the beginning. I was working too much. I had no time to take care of me, especially my caregivers, healthcare pros. You might relate to this. I had no time to take care of me. I chalked it up to maybe I'm just getting older. And then I was having more and more and more symptoms, and I was going to the doctors to get the test. I was advocating for myself. Doc, something's not right. And I was blown off, and I was told, you're getting older, you're doing too much. And I knew there had to be a better answer. So I had to advocate for myself. I had to push for myself. And in all honesty, if I wasn't a nationally board certified nurse practitioner who ended up ordering my own tests to prove the problems that I had, I would be dead right now. And a lot of you might not be a board certified healthcare professional where you can order your own tests to get the results. So please advocate for yourself. I had multiple autoimmune issues and I was blown off. I was diagnosed with everything from IBS to MS and full blown heart failure. I was in heart failure. And after I had to take the power back, after I healed myself holistically, some of my doctors became my clients, and I have since replicated what's helped me with literally thousands around the world. So I want you to know I'm not just a coach. There's nothing wrong with coaches, but I have a personal medical history with autoimmune where I have the success story. But that's just one case. I have replicated what's helped me with thousands from around the world. And I also have 5 college degrees, 4 nursing medical licenses, over 30 years experience as a licensed healthcare pro. So, and that book right there, it reached #1 international bestseller, where I put some of the gold nuggets in there. So if you don't have it, just pick up a copy at worldwellnessexpert.com/OLO, or even on Amazon. Okay, moving right along. I want you to be able to recognize the early signs and symptoms of autoimmune disorders and MS, because a lot of you have the signs and symptoms and are blowing it off as just getting older, or you went to the doctor and he says your tests are normal. Now, check out this dashboard light, right? A lot of times when you have a little problem in your car, your dashboard light goes off and it says, hello, put a quart of oil in, right? And if you don't ignore that early warning sign, then you you prevent a much bigger problem from happening. So if that early warning sign goes off, put a quart of oil in, and you do it, you save tons of time, tons of money. But what if you ignore that early warning sign, right? What happens? Then your engine dies and you need a replacement part. And it's going to cost you a lot more time, a lot more money. But we have warning signs in our body that should not be ignored. And why? Because we can't get replacement parts as easy as you can for your car. So I'm going to go over all the signs and symptoms of MS, Hashimoto's, and autoimmune disorders. So stay tuned, because this will help you be able to recognize it. It's only after you recognize it can you get treatment. Most people with autoimmune disorders suffer for years because they are not diagnosed correctly. And that means they are not treated correctly for years. So let's dive into the signs and symptoms of MS. Now, I want to be very clear. Just because you have some of these symptoms does not mean you have MS, but you need to check into it in a much deeper dive, not with Google, with a licensed healthcare professional, or myself, who is a licensed healthcare professional. So again, these signs and symptoms do not mean you have MS, but if you have a few of them, you definitely want to go to a licensed healthcare professional or book a video consultation with me to get to the root cause of your symptoms. Now, these are a lot of the symptoms I had and a lot of people with MS have. Now, everyone with autoimmune has different signs and symptoms, and they might just have a couple, they might have a few, they might have a lot. This is part of the reason why it's so hard to diagnose, and there's not just one specific test. So with MS, a lot of times they're exhausted. They're waking up exhausted. And especially if you can't find any other underlying reasons, you might have an autoimmune issue. It might not be MS. But a lot of times with MS, you're exhausted. You're waking up exhausted. You're looking for a fifth cup of coffee or energy drink. You're looking to take a nap. You're trying to do as little as you can, not because you're lazy, but because you don't have the energy. Then also, so I definitely had the exhaustion, and the exhaustion could be worsened with heat and moisture, like say going down to Florida. Then also forgetfulness, right? You're like, oh, remind me, remind me. How many times you guys saying, remind me this, remind me of that? You're leaving a fifth sticky note around. You're writing it down so you don't forget. You're walking into the room and like, oh, what did I come in for? Where's my glasses? Where's my keys? Where's the remote? So forgetfulness might be a sign of something else going on, especially an autoimmune disorder and possibly MS. Now, so I had all those symptoms. I was exhausted no matter how much I slept. I was starting to get a little bit forgetful. Then also I noticed I was having some blurred vision. And these are all signs that a lot of us chalk up to just getting older. Next. So I was getting the blurred vision. Now, I want to tell you, just fast forward. This past year, when I went to the eye doctor, my vision has improved so much. I no longer need glasses for distance. And that often does not happen with things like MS. But I work differently to get different results than most. So if you're noticing your vision's getting worse, it's getting blurrier, you can't see the street sign at the same distance other people are at. You have to get a lot closer. Then I started noticing, and you might have this, you might have muscle spasms, right? Now, muscle spasms might just be low potassium. Yeah, I was getting muscle spasms, stiffness, things locking up on me. I was getting numbness and tingling. And, maybe you're getting numbness and tingling and you're talking it up to doing too much on the laptop or texting too much. I was also finding, and you might notice this, you're getting weaker, right? You can't open the jars and the bottles as easy. These are often signs of an autoimmune disorder and could be MS. And you could be getting numbness and tingling, thinking, oh, maybe it's just carpal tunnel. Now, this muscle weakness could be not only just in your hands to open things, it might be in your bladder where you're discovering an urgency. When you go to a restaurant, you're looking around, where's the restroom in case I need it, or you're making sure you urinate before you go out for a long car ride. So the muscle weakness can be in the hands when you're opening jars, but could also be in the bladder where you have a weaker bladder and more urgency and more urinary frequency. The weakness could also, next, the weakness can also cause you to stumble and fall. I was noticing I was getting clumsy like I was in junior high again, right? So you're falling more often than other people. You can't keep balance, like even on one foot when you're not drunk. Try to put one foot down and one foot up. And try that with the other foot and see how it goes. And you might be stumbling and falling more. Also, the weakness might be in your throat where you're aspirating. That means you're taking a drink of water and instead of swallowing it, your coordination's a little off and you're aspirating it into your lungs and you're choking. So if you notice you're aspirating, you're choking on water and food more often than a lot of other people, there may be an underlying autoimmune disorder and it may or may not be MS. Another sign is difficulty swallowing because your voluntary and involuntary muscle control might be a little off. So you're aspirating on food, you're choking more often. You might notice after you eat, that food in your stomach still feels like it's there like 6 to 8 hours later. So that's a sign of gastric paresis, which is often a sign of MS. So that's delayed gastric emptying, delayed emptying out of the intestines, and often because the peristalsis in your intestine, the movement in your intestine is slow, it often causes severe constipation. Now, if you're having some of these symptoms, I'm not going to be able to diagnose you and treat you right here. I highly suggest you join our upcoming workshop. Next. The upcoming workshop, what I did is it's normally $47, but because I decided to offer it this month free to my fellow nurse practitioners with a coupon code, I wanted to pass that along to you too. So what you can do is come to our upcoming workshop. It is live. It is not a pre-recorded webinar. It's not a 5-day challenge, a 3-day challenge. It's one day and not even all day. It's a power hour packed with gold nuggets to move your needle forward. What you can do is scan that QR or go to worldwellnessexpert.com/reclaim. I am limiting the number of no cost seats and the number of VIP seats. So there is a no cost version. So mark your calendar for Wednesday, May 20th at 7 p.m. EST. Scan that QR code or go to that link, worldwellnessexpert.com/reclaim. Claim your no cost or VIP seat. If you want the no cost seat, enter in coupon code 4NP. That stands for 4 nurse practitioners. Even if you're not an NP, because you're watching here and a follower and a subscriber, I'll allow you to get that at no cost now. But soon I will remove the no cost seats. If you'd like the VIP access, you're going to get a much deeper dive. You're going to get Zoom access. You're going to get an extra power hour immediately after to get question and answer sessions, to get answers to your question in live time. The VIPs are also going to get the digital and printable workbook with the Reclaim Your Life worksheets and blueprints to do ahead of time, and they're going to get them. The freebie people don't get the workbook. And then the VIP people are also going to get a private one-on-one consultation with me for another time. And I'm going to limit the number of VIP seats as well, because there's only so many private consults I can do. And my private consultations normally go for at least 6 times this price of this VIP. So please get this while you can. Again, just mark your calendars, May 20th, 7 p.m. Oh, the VIPs are also going to get the replay. So if you can't make it, then level up to VIP. You'll get the replay and the consultation anyway. So there's absolutely no excuse, right? If you don't have money, do the free. If you can't make it, level up to the VIP. Now I want to move into the signs and symptoms of Hashimoto's and other autoimmune disorders. So again, we have these warning signs in our car that tell you, whoa, something's wrong. Address me now before your little problems becomes a bigger problem. We have these warning signs in our body that are not to be ignored because we can't get replacement parts that easy. These next signs and symptoms are often of Hashimoto's. If you have a bunch of these symptoms, you may have Hashimoto's, or you may have a different underlying autoimmune issue. So again, I'm emphasizing that you go to your licensed healthcare professional or join our workshop and get a private consult with me. Now, next. If you're waking up exhausted, something else is going on. You need to address these warning signs. These are often warning signs that if you ignore them, there's going to be a much bigger problem. So these are often warning signs of Hashimoto's hypothyroidism, the exhaustion, the hoarseness in the throat where you're, and that could be multiple reasons. One, you have a GORDY, you have enlarged thyroid, but 2 could be from all the caffeine that you're drinking causing acid reflux. You could have aches, pains, stiffness. It could be in your knees like a rheumatoid. It could be in your fingertips. Some people get muscle pain. Some people get joint pain. Some people get nerve pain. You could have that, again, that forgetfulness. You forget what you were going to say. You're telling people to remind you, leave you stickies. Your hair could be thinning. This is often a warning sign of Hashimoto's. A lot of people, their hair is thinning. They think they're getting older. It's stress. You could have inability to lose weight, even though you're trying to stay active, you're even eating a little better. And in fact, not only inability to lose as much weight as quickly as you should be considering your diet and active, but you might even be gaining weight. Okay, slow down. Okay, next. Now, also, you could have dryness. The dryness could be in your skin, causing like eczema or psoriatic-like rashes. They could be flaking skin. They could be red patches. They could be scaling, or they might be dandruff from your hair or your facial hair. You could also have, next, dry eyes. So the dryness could be in your skin causing a rash or sensitivity, or it could be in your eyes. This is often a very early warning sign of autoimmune that gets misdiagnosed. You think it, hold on, back. you think it's the dryness is just allergy eyes, right? And you try all the allergy pills over the counter and they don't work. And you go to the doctor and you try allergy pills, they still don't work. They give you allergy drops. They work a little bit because they're giving you moisture. But keep in mind, if you have dry, itchy, painful eyes and you can't link it to a specific allergen, and the re-wetting drops just make it temporarily a little bit better, that is very early warning sign often of an underlying autoimmune disorder. So again, that dryness could be in the skin, it could be in your eyes, or it could be in your intestines causing this constipation because it's drying out your intestines. Next. Okay. Also, you could, if you have Hashimoto's, so with Hashimoto's or any other autoimmune, you could have some of those symptoms and not all. But also, often, especially the ladies, you might get chest pain, palpitations, shortness of breath, insomnia, and you might even go to the doctor who blows it off thinking, oh God, she has anxiety. And they might even give you a prescription for a tranquilizer or a sleeping pill. Yes. So that you could get chest pain, palpitations. It doesn't mean it's anxiety. Your heart could be racing from the Hashimoto's. You might bounce back and forth between underactive, where you're exhausted and gaining weight, and overactive, where you're super anxious and wired, insomnia and chest pain and palpitations. And this could be a real medical condition, a lot more than anxiety. So please get a good workup. You could also feel always hot or always cold. Or you could have discolored fingers like Raynaud's. Raynaud's is an autoimmune, and it's usually linked to, when you have an autoimmune disorder, you usually have at least 2 or 3. You just might not know of them yet. So it is important, ladies, please don't blow off your anxiety as you're just getting more nervous. Now, also, that stubborn weight could be a sign of Hashimoto's. You're eating the same and you're just about as active and you're gaining weight, or you're not able to lose it. And that is often a sign of Hashimoto's. Most doctors, I don't want to bash them all, but most of them go to medical school to practice medicine, and they do bare basic testing. And so many clients come to me with autoimmune that had been to the doctors for years, and the specialists and multiple doctors, and advocated for another specialist and additional testing. And they were still misdiagnosed and blown off as, you're getting older, it's anxiety, you're tested normal. But when I took a deeper dive with them, 100% of the time, their doctors had missed things. Now, also with Hashimoto's, this is another common one. You know, a lot of ladies that have irregular menses. Wait, back. If you know, yes, if you know a lot of ladies that are having irregular periods or infertility issues, they're going to the infertility doctor, that's often a sign of underlying autoimmune. And all the infertility doctor does is he doesn't look for the underlying root cause. It just gives you hormone, right? And he wants to sell you, a lot of times, I don't want to generalize, but a lot of the infertility doctors just want to sell you the expensive treatment. Come back every month for more shots, in vitro and whatnot. But I would say the high majority of the time, it's an underlying autoimmune problem. So irregular menses or infertility, even if you don't have any of the other symptoms yet, you could just have infertility and it can be an autoimmune problem. The problem is when you go to the doctors, there's no real good autoimmune expert that takes insurance. Okay. So that's why you're misdiagnosed. And often, okay, the next one. Okay. And then often too, with autoimmune, you might be sick more often than other people your age. You might be sick with more severe symptoms, like instead of a little bronchitis lasting a couple days, it's like 2 weeks in pneumonia. And so you might have more illnesses, contagious infectious diseases. They might last longer. They might have more severe symptoms. You might find you're going to the doctor more often. Now, then you go to the doctor, right? And you're waiting in that huge line. Um, Next slide. So you're going to the doctor and you're okay, you have these symptoms now for years and you're putting them all together and you're writing them all down. You have a shopping list of questions, and then you're in a waiting room like this, right? And it's like a 2-hour wait, and you know that doctor is not giving you more than 2 minutes because he's already behind. And you're trying to ramble off 10 problems. And he's like, give me one problem and we'll do one test and then come back another time for the others. And I have worked in the past for doctors like this. They say, listen, the problem, you have to limit me to one problem. We don't make enough money from your visit. So we're going to have you come back for each additional problem at separate times. And that's no way to be treated. If you have your symptoms for years, you need more than a few minutes. And if the doctor gives you more than 5 minutes of information at a time, it might be overwhelmed. So perhaps you go to the doctor and you're waiting 3 hours and you're given no clear answers, and he just or she shovels you off to the specialist. Fine, you don't like my answer. Here, what do you want? You want to go to a rheumatologist? You want me to repeat the blood work? No, you want an answer, right? And often they're just doing the same test again and again and again. They're like, oh, you weren't happy with that rheumatologist? You want me to send you a referral for a different one? And then the different rheumatologist is doing the same blood work the last order. We got to get off that hamster wheel. So if you are feeling like that slide right there, you just know you don't feel well and you're blown off. And can we put that slide up? If you're feeling you don't feel well, the doctors or you are thinking, I'm just doing too much. You're getting older. Your tests are normal. These are often wrong. That's what the doctors told me. You're doing too much. You're getting older. Your tests are normal. They weren't. I was later diagnosed with heart failure and MS. Okay. It just means that they didn't order the right test or the right test at the right time, or they didn't interpret it correctly. So often they do some of the tests, like with thyroid. I order like 10 different tests for thyroid. Most of your doctors order one test. So oftentimes they're not doing the correct test, and they're not doing it at the right time when you're having a flare up. Or the results are a little abnormal, but they're like, well, it's just a little abnormal, and they're ignoring it. Or a lot of times I see them misinterpreting a result as normal when it's not. Like, say, a certain vitamin level, right? The range might be, I don't know, 300 to 1,000, say for a B12. And your 300, your doctor is telling you it's normal. But you're exhausted. And I know there's no other reason. It's just that your B12 needs to be a little higher. So sometimes the normal range is so big. That just means most people fall in there. That does not mean that is normal for you. But the doctors are trained to just look at a normal range, not look at the normal range, look at your signs and symptoms, look at your flare up, look at what's working for you and what's not. And that's what I want to do differently. I feel who better to help you than someone that was also diagnosed with autoimmune, because a lot of the doctors, I don't want to bash them, but a lot of them don't have the personal experience. And then there's coaches that might have one personal problem they had that got better, but don't have my 5 college degrees, my national board certification, my 30 plus years experience. So I'll say this: if you won't rely on Google to fix your car or your electric work in your house, why, for the love of God, are you relying on Google to fix your body? Does that make sense? Right? How often we seek specialists, an electrician, a mechanic, a roofer for our physical possessions. But then we try to resort to Google for our own one life and health. Now, mind you, there is so much information out there. You could spend the rest of your life just researching. And there's so much misinformation. I even see a lot of doctors try to be big influencers on social media, and a lot of what those doctors are saying is wrong, inaccurate information. So please, for the love of God, if you're not relying on Google to fix your car and the electric and the plumbing in your house, don't do it in your own body. Okay. So that's where I took my 30 plus years experience as licensed healthcare pro, and I'm pouring it into this workshop, because you don't have to figure it out alone. It took me years to crack the code and know what environmental triggers there were, drink triggers, food triggers, how to heal my gut, how to find out what I'm deficit in, how to get the correct diagnostic and laboratory testing to know what was truly wrong with me. What were the root causes? How to fix each and every one of those causes, especially without the meds, because often they lead to side effects and they never lead to cures. Recently I was in an auditorium speaking to the auditorium held 200 people, and I asked anybody in the audience, please raise your hand if you or anybody you ever even heard of was cured of their chronic condition with a medication. Not one hand went up. I looked to that audience again and I said, wait, in case you didn't hear me, please raise your hand up very high if you or anyone you ever heard of was cured of their chronic illness with a medication. And again, not one hand went up. Think about it. Do you know of anybody that was cured with the med? Okay. So we got to do things differently. It might be scared to get out of your comfort zone, but after, just to paint you the picture, I had all of those symptoms, not some of them. I had all of those symptoms. I was blown off by the doctors. I was given a prescription for Xanax for anxiety, or sleeping medication, or medication for energy, or to focus like Ritalin or Adderall, but it wasn't getting to the underlying problem of my autoimmune. So I knew the meds were not stopping my progression. I was still getting worse. They were not barely controlling the symptoms, not controlling the symptoms. They were causing side effects that needed more meds. And I wanted to get to the root cause so I can stop the progression from getting worse and even reverse it. You see, when I get to the root cause of the problem, it stops the progression. It often reverses it. And when you reverse the progression of the problem, the symptoms greatly reduce or even go away altogether. And then when the symptoms are gone, you often don't need the meds to treat the symptoms that aren't there. And then without the meds, you don't have dependencies, reliances, drug interactions, overdoses, and deaths. Whoa. Right? So that's exactly what I did. I knew I had to get to the root cause of the problem, because if I didn't do that, they were just feeding me more meds. And then you need a higher dose and a higher dose and a second med. How many people you know for, say, their heart? They're on 3 heart pills, right? 3 blood pressure pills and a cholesterol med. Four meds to control a problem, but yet they're still getting progression of their disease. Right now, they at first, think about it like this: with your blood pressure, if you're on, say, 4 meds for your heart, you start off at 1, right? It didn't control it. A higher dose, second med didn't control it, then you added a third med, then your problem still got worse, they added a fourth med. And same with diabetes. How many diabetics you know are on multiple meds for diabetes and multiple meds for cardiovascular disease? They started off with 1, and obviously it didn't continue to control it, that they needed more and more and more. And the more meds you're on, the more side effects. They're going through your kidneys. They're going through your liver. They have dyes and fillers and colors. They have known carcinogens in them. Okay. So, and prescription drugs and drugs are a leading cause of death in this country. So we should not resort to them first. I believe we should resort to them last, after looking for the true underlying root cause so we can stop the progression. You know, when I was in heart failure, I want to just speak real to you for a minute. When I was in heart failure, I was going to the heart, not only the heart doctor who specializes in one organ, I was going to a subspecialist, a heart failure specialist. And I already knew the answers to the questions I asked. But I said, Doc, with all due respect, are any of these meds gonna reverse the progression of my disorder? He said, no. I said, Doc, with all due respect, are they gonna slow down the progression of my disorder? He said, no. I said, Doc, well, they sure as hell don't make me feel any better, and I'm getting side effects. And, he said to me, listen, 95, 98% of all my patients here, I never find the cause of their heart failure. So he is admitting to 98% of his heart failure patients as a heart failure subspecialist, never finding the cause and just medicating it to try to treat a symptom. If you don't find the cause, you can't stop the progression. You sure as heck can't reverse the progression. You sure as heck can't get rid of the symptoms to come off the meds, right? So I fired him. I did tons of years of research, reaching out to world-renowned doctors, scientists, literally from around the world. And I found techniques that work for me. And I merged a bunch of different things. See, most people practice just alternative, holistic, or just regular medicine. I merge them all together because sometimes we need both. So I look at a holistic approach to treat body, mind, mindset that it's possible, cellular level. I use a naturopathic approach when possible, because before medicines, we used plants for their active ingredients, right? I use biohacking to take back the power so that your own body can create the good defenses it used to. I use functional medicine to identify and attack the true underlying root causes. And I blend that all together and I integrate it into your existing medications if you have them, and do what's best for you as an individual. And that's what truly sets me apart from everyone else. So I just want to share with you again our upcoming event, because I don't want you to miss out. Say, you know what, you don't want to spend for a full consultation with me? Do the workshop, okay? I don't know if I can ever offer it again for free, and that's why I'm only offering it to those that I give the coupon code for. Um, Businesses, I spend a lot of time and a lot of money in my business to educate a lot of people and raise awareness for absolutely free, but I also have to sustain a business. So right now this workshop has free seats, but I'm not going to keep them for long, and I don't know if I'll ever offer free seats again. So and I am limiting the number of VIP seats because there's all the VIPs get a private consultation also, and there's only so many of those I can do. So your call to action is just pick no cost or VIP. The difference is, I'm going to tell you in a second, scan that QR code or go to worldwellnessexpert.com/reclaim. The no cost seat, like I was saying before, it's not a 5-day challenge, a 3-day challenge. It's 1 day and 1 hour. You are worthy. You deserve at least 1 hour to treat yourself as good as you treat others. There's going to be a lot of gold nuggets in there. Mark your calendars for Wednesday, February 20th at 7 p.m. EST. The no cost is a power hour. The VIPs, and if you do the no cost, enter promo code 4NP to get it for absolutely no cost. It'll show a $47 value. When you enter promo code 4NP, it'll bring the price point to absolutely nothing for you. The reason I'm doing this is I'm offering this free this month for my nurse practitioners because I have a big talk. I'll be speaking to a few hundred of them at the Crest Hollow in Woodbury coming up, and I wanted to be able to offer this to them for free, but then not leave out my friends for free. Now, the difference is the VIPs, if you're like, listen, it's live, so you don't have to worry about a boring webinar. You don't have to worry about 5 days, 3 days. But also, if you're like, I can't make that date, no worries. Level up to the VIP for $97. The VIPs are going to get the Zoom access. They're going to get a second live power hour for right after the workshop for a much deeper dive, a lot of the gold nuggets. They're going to get a live Q&A session after that for me to give them questions, answers to their questions in real time. The VIPs are also going to gain the replay access to watch it again. They're also going to gain the Reclaim Your Life Blueprints, which is the workbook, printed and digital copies with all the notes and the worksheets. And the VIPs are also going to gain a private one-on-one consultation with me at another time where I can do a deeper dive. There's only so much I could do on a free power hour, that one-way workshop where I can't really see you well. So I encourage you, if you know what, you're spending this more on a copay at a doctor or out at lunch, or out for a night for drinks, or you spend a lot more than that on a concert or something else. So you are worthy, you are deserving to treat yourself as good as your bestie. Just scan that QR, go to worldwellnessexpert.com/reclaim. I could tell you this from the bottom of my heart, anybody that got the biggest transformation, they all leveled up to the VIP. Hands down, there's no doubt about it. It's, the free will definitely move your needle forward. That if you can't afford it, I recommend the no cost version. But if you can, I definitely recommend the VIP because it's going to expedite your journey. You could spend the next 30 years Googling and trying this and trying that and trying that and trying that and trying that. Or you can look at somebody that's been there, done that, and it has replicated it thousands of times around the world and see what works for her and all of her clients. And I want you to know, before recently, alternatives never had measurable proven outcomes, right? And that's why a lot of doctors blew it off. I've created a system that measures 10 different systems of your body. So it's not just a placebo where my client's saying, I feel better. I'm looking at 10 different areas of their life and dozens of measurable markers in their body. A lot of my clients, I'm looking at their inflammatory markers, blood tests before and after. I'm looking at their kidney function that wasn't normal, now normal. I'm looking that they were a diabetic and after my system are no longer diabetic, that they had high cholesterol. After my system, they have no high cholesterol, that they had high blood pressure, even on 9 medications a day. And now after my proven system, their blood pressure readings are normal and they're off 8.5 to 9 of those medications. So it's not just alternatives. I have proven measurable outcomes with dozens of different measurements from each body part. Even myself, my ejection fraction, how much blood my heart was pumping out, was in heart failure. And I can prove now on echo that my ejection fraction is totally within normal range. So I want you to know alternatives can have proven measurable outcomes like I do. And I believe I'm the first system that has these proven measurable outcomes with baseline before, during, and after in multiple different regions of your body, showing the effectiveness of my techniques. So I'm very passionate about what I do. I hope this helps you. I want to make learning fun because you guys have been through a lot. I don't want to make it boring webinar. So you might not be used to my style, but it works each and every time that my clients are willing and coachable. I have gotten phenomenal results over and over and over and over and over and over, you know, and I've helped people that were infertile through all infertility treatments now have a baby that's a few months old. So I know I can help you, but you must take the first step. You must register for the workshop. That's the very first step. Or book a private consultation with me. If you're having trouble and you don't know how to book just a full deep dive consultation, reach out. So again, scan that QR or go to worldwellnessexpert.com/reclaim. Mark your calendars for Wednesday, May 20th, 7 p.m. EST. When you go to checkout, use the coupon code 4NP. It'll drop the price from $47 to free. If you want to level up to VIP, once you check out with the free, you'll have the option, if there's still VIP seats available, to level up to the VIP. And I highly recommend that. And, I wish when I had my autoimmune disorders, there was no one who had gotten better to the extent I did, who had come back from heart failure. I wish I had known of a person. I was ready to remortgage my house for $100K if I knew someone could help me. I was willing to maybe go out of the country, but there was no good option for me. And I didn't know of another autoimmune warrior who had overcome and been on the others, went from death's door, literally, in heart failure to full recovery. And if I had found that person, hell, I would have literally given them 100,000 because I was dying. What good was my money in the bank? So I want you to know I can't keep offering this much for this little again. So now's the time. And I wish I had someone like me that could lead me by the hand and expedite my journey. Think about it like this. When you're learning to tie your shoes, did you just figure it out on your own? No, your parents showed you, right? And that sped up the learning time. Imagine if you were a little kid just trying to figure out how to tie your shoes with no one teaching you and no one showing you, right? You would spend triple the amount of time if you ever figured it out. And if you did, it would be triple the amount of time. So why not learn from someone that's been there, done that? Personal experience, 30 plus years experience. So that's all I got to say is I can help you, but I can only lead the horse to the water. Okay. Can't make you drink it. So I hope this helps you. And I'm sorry I rambled on over, but I'm very passionate and I know I can help you. So I hope to see you on the Reclaim Your Life Super Workshop, May 20th, 7 p.m. But you got to be in it to win it. So register and I'll see you there. Be well, biohack, Olo, and thanks for tuning in.